I managed to figure out how to get these off. With enough heat, you're able to actually lift the pads off of the board, and since this board is trash anyway, that guarantees you no chance of damaging the coil. All you need is the soldering gun or station to be hot enough to where you just place it and rub it back and forth until you basically remove the actual pad on the PCB board. Normally this doesn't happen to a PCB board so easily. The only times I've ever seen this happen is if the PCB board was very cheaply made and that the traces are very, very thin. So now we attempt removal. And I do want to note, if you do end up breaking the coil, not the end of the world, you have to extend it anyway, so just better if you don't. But there you go. See, as you can tell, it came right off. At least half. And here. And then some of them may still be holding a little bit. If they are, just wiggle them, it'll come right off. Here we go. All coils intact. Even some components intact. So we have a resistor that came off. We have something else here that came off as well. I think this is part of the melt. Yeah, this is part of the melt area. So here you can see what melted. And based on what failed, it seems the strongest point of the burn started at this component, whatever came off. I'm gonna get it off so I can see what exactly this is. This was a diode. Okay. Actually, yep. I think either a diode or a capacitor. It's all burned on the top, so it's very hard to see. No, it's a capacitor. Okay. I just scratched some of the burnt off. Yep, it's a capacitor. So this is another one of those cases where the capacitor fails, shorts, and causes smoke. But yeah, as you can see, this is just a ridiculously overcomplicated board in comparison. There's nothing on this side, so it's just one side. Look at this. So many components versus almost nothing in comparison. So just truly overly complicated. It doesn't need to be this complicated. And I'm sure that the actual values of these are very close to their limit, which is probably why they're failing so often. And yeah, at this point, so you got the board off. You're going to want to turn your station or solder gun off and go ahead and just clean everything. To clean, that's why you needed the rubbing alcohol and Q-tips. So you just lift all of these coils off away from the plastic. Some of them may be stuck a little bit. Just give them a little push. And it should come right off. If it doesn't, well, then give it a larger push. Because these all have to come off. And away. Okay, so there you have it. Came off. This is trash along with, this isn't. But these, every single time I redo the board, I always take the end of it to where it bends into the case, keep it even, and then just snip it off. And just solder clean. That way you have a nice clean joint with no risk of contamination from the water that may have gotten in there when you submerge this and so forth. So to make this easier to clean, you may choose to pull this out. It's probably glued or it's clipped, and if you pull it out, let's see, if it is clipped, then it's easy to just pull out. If not, then it's glued. Seems pretty easy. You just pull on the locking areas where it held the board in, and you're able to get the rest out. If you're going to remove it, be very careful. If you break it, that's it. So the only reason to remove it is if you need to clean it, if it burned badly. Yeah, there's some glue, very minimal. Basically, it's being held in primarily with the clips on these here. There's a top clip which holds the board, and a secondary clip which holds this in here. And as you can see, you have to pull straight up, otherwise you'll break one of these. So just clean everything thoroughly. Like I said again, rubbing alcohol, the highest level you can get a hold of, and Q-tips. Okay, so everything has been cleaned. The side pieces that were already sort of cut, I went ahead and cut it all the way down and sanded. I didn't do a perfect sand job since I just needed it, just done. I didn't really care if it was perfect or not, since this is just a test pump. So that's gone. I cut out the bottom, as you can tell. It's a large hole, but all the burnt area is gone, so there's no more smell. Just smells just like the detergent. I washed everything out basically as best as possible. So now, and dried it. Washed it out, washed it with water, rather rinsed it with water, and then dried everything with an air compressor so that there is no water left over. And some of the areas I covered over with alcohol that needed it. Anyway, next thing you need is this. If you've removed it, put it back in. There is no right or wrong way, as long as these are able to face up. So basically you need to be able, so that when they loop around, they in up. That way you're able to bend them and get them the correct direction you need. What we'll be doing here is extending the wires, but also what we will be doing is installing the board as well. So the board here will mount where the wire runs out. There's a knob, so it will be mounting in this direction here to where the wires run out. Also, I'm gonna go look at some point after we solder this, before we solder the power cable. I'm gonna look for another wire, maybe a connector possibly that I may have. That way we can check the RPM, which was cut when I received this pump. So for this part, basically you need this completed with these cleaned. To clean these, you just use a soldering gun or station and just clean it off so that they're nice and shiny. Use new solder, use flux if needed. You need some spare strips of wire, preferably 26 or 28 gauge or smaller. I wouldn't go any smaller than probably 30 gauge. All you're trying to do is extend these short ones here, so it will only be going on every one per coil. Okay. Also, what you want is these to all be the same length. They have to be exactly the same length. It's not that important, but it will help. Also, you want heat shrink. You're gonna want the 1/16 or smaller. You can get any color you want. I'm just using clear because it's right next to me. You're also going to need wire cutters to cut the wire. These, the tweezers to bend these over and make sure they're in the right spot. And a soldering gun, some solder, and that's it really. So the next step would be to add an extension to just one of them, like this, and then run it through to make sure I got the proper length, and then cut it to whatever length I need, and cut the extras for each one to the same length. That way they're all the same length, and that's it. And then just double check everything before we solder. So let's begin. Oh, another thing, you need wire strippers. Okay, now if you don't have wire strippers, basically you need to be able to remove the insulation on the wires. You can use wire cutters, just don't press very deep. You can use your nail, and depending on the insulation you use, you can. I've seen people do. I mean, you could do it with your teeth. It's just endless, literally. You can use a knife, so on and so forth. I'm just going to use wire strippers because I have a lot of them, and it makes the job easy. If you do anything like this, you should own a pair. So we're going to be using them. So the first step is just, I guess we'll start with the short one. I'm using 26 gauge. Yes, I'm using 26 gauge wire, and stripped probably 1.5 millimeters. You don't want it too long since we are going to be soldering side to side. Another way is you make it longer, and you basically start at one end and then you twist it around. That way it basically coils around this. Really, it's not necessary. There's no pressure on this, and you shouldn't have much issues with tugging or coming off, especially if you solder it correctly. That shouldn't be an issue at all. So we're going to begin this now. I'm going to go ahead and turn the station on. I'm going to turn the fan off since it seems to be ticking with the air conditioning on. Okay, so you just lift each one a little bit, and then angle it, that way it's easier to solder. I personally like tinting my wire prior to soldering, so you can just take the wire, take your solder, and you want this around probably 600 to 650 degrees. If you can't control your temperature, then just turn it on. But this is your goal, or I should say ideal temperature, I guess. Okay, that's one joint. And what we're going to do is set this down to get an idea of where this needs to go. And we'll run it like this. Should we run it? No. Yeah, we'll definitely run it at an angle. And then out, we'll go ahead and make it the same length approximately as the one already on there. And then we'll cut it. And so basically we want all of them this length. So now you can either measure it, which is what I'm going to do. That way you could probably use just my measurements and just cut off of that. 12 millimeters is what you need.